Well, as the ABC 7 News I-Team reported here last night, the California Department of Public Health was supposed to set a safety standard for a chemical that is found in drinking water.
Yeah, that compound is known as Chromium 6, and after 9 years, that safety standard has still not been established, but that's not the only problem surrounding Chromium 6.
ABC 7 News I-Team reporter Dan Noyes is here now with part 2 of his investigation, which deals with the cost of cleaning this up.
Right. The cost for all of us. That's right, Carolyn and Dan. Water in California is already expensive, but depending on how low the state sets its long overdue health standard for a hexavalent chromium or Chromium 6, you might end up paying a lot more. If you want to know how to remove hexavalent chromium from drinking water, you need to go to Glendale.
Technically, it's a very good process, very simple.
Don Froelich and his team have been doing research for 10 years to address not only Glendale's issues with hexavalent chromium, but the statewide problem. Data from the Department of Public Health shows different levels of the compound in water across the state, some low, some high. Hexavalent chromium is known to cause cancer when inhaled, but there is debate over how much you can drink.
We've shown very comfortably and reliably we can get down to 1 part per billion.
That's down from 80 parts per billion in Glendale. But Froelich says the simple process they developed isn't cheap.
We certainly cannot treat all of that water, with chromium removal. Otherwise, we couldn't afford the water. We'd be paying as much for our water as we are for our cell phone bill.
The cost depends on what the Department of Public Health sets as the standard for hexavalent chromium in drinking water, a standard that, by law, it was supposed to establish 9 years ago.
The lower you have to remove it, the greater the cost is going to be.
According to the Water Research Foundation and the American Water Works Association, if the standard is set at 1 part per billion, the overall cost for initial setup to affected water systems across the state, both public and private, could be as high as $21 billion. If the state sets the standard at 10 parts per billion, the systems could have to pay $3.1 billion to start cleanup.
It's a poison. It's well documented. Shouldn't be in your water.
Activist Aaron Brockovich says the standard should be 0.02 for hexavalent chromium in drinking water. That's the public health goal set in 2011 by the California Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment. The public health goal is not enforceable. It's used to help guide the Department of Public Health's official standard. But it is considered protective against all identified toxic effects from hexavalent chromium present in drinking water. Froelich points out that there is no process to get down to a 0.02 level. That might take another 10 years. And Bruce Mackler with the U.S. EPA says more research needs to be done to see how much hexavalent chromium is dangerous to drink.
Okay, that's enough.
The degree that happens is still unknown. People are working on it.
We took water samples from drinking fountains in 2 Bay Area cities to see if hexavalent chromium is in the water. At the Santa Clara County Government Administration Building, we found a 1.64 parts per billion level. Down the road at Ryland Park, the number jumped to 2.95 parts per billion. Officials from San Jose Water declined to talk to us on camera, but confirmed they have between 1 and 7 parts per billion of hexavalent chromium in their wells. If the state sets a low standard, they estimate it will cost about $500 million to remove. Our tests in Livermore found no detection of hexavalent chromium at Tex Spruill Park, but we found 0.48 parts per billion at Bothwell Park.
That's not a surprise.
Tara Henry is manager of water quality for California Water Service Company. She says the hexavalent chromium levels in Livermore are as high as 11 parts per billion.
And that's actually where the chromium sticks.
In preparation for the state standard, Cal Water has been running tests on hexavalent chromium removal in conjunction with Glendale, trying to get a better idea of what it will cost them and you.
In some communities, it could mean doubling, tripling, or quadrupling of their water bill.
Hexavalent chromium occurs in nature, but it's also a byproduct from industries such as chrome plating. The Department of Public Health declined to speak with us for the story because it's being sued by environmental groups. The state says it could take until the summer of 2015 before a standard is set, making it 11 years past the deadline. Slow progress.
It is slow.
It is, yeah.
Thanks, Dan.